A judge's decision could come down anytime now on the border policy known as Title 42, which makes it easier to deny entry to migrants. We're now 1 week before the Biden administration is set to let that rule end. And lawyers from 24 states have urged the judge to keep this pause in place, even as some members of the president's own party are saying Title 42 should stay. Let's bring in Brandon Judd, president of the National Border Patrol Council, for more on this. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Jackie, anytime.
So the Biden cabinet was at the White House today. It included Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. They were talking about the infrastructure bill, of all things, from November. Mayorkas took a question, though, on the Buffalo shooting. There was no discussion of the border. Surprised?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. He constantly tries to deflect on what's going on the border, and that's extremely disappointing because if he does not face up and look at what the reality is, we're just going to continue in this situation. And it's not just like we're going to continue right now. It's in the future, it's going to get worse, especially when Title 42 goes away. Look historically, right now at this time of the year, historically, we're between 1,000 and 1,500 apprehensions. Right now today, it's at 7,000 apprehensions, and that's strictly because of what this administration has done in giving carve-outs in Title 42. Once Title 42 goes completely away, we're in some serious trouble.
You know, the president is set to go to South Korea and Japan later on this week, and he's still going to be there when Title 42 is lifted, if all goes to plan for this White House and the judge does not stop it. The president has still never been to the border. What are the optics of that, him being out of the country when this all happens and having never seen it himself?
It's really disappointing, and it's very frustrating to Border Patrol agents. And it's frustrating to the rest of the United States that wants to see this issue under control. What this president continues to do, he continues to pretend like this isn't an issue because the mainstream media doesn't cover it. And if the mainstream media isn't going to cover it, he's going to pretend like it's not there. Because Fox News and a few other outlets continue to cover it, that's the reason why the American public is aware of what's going on. And because the American public is aware, his numbers have been upside down on border security since he took office. It's the first thing. It was the first crack in his armor, and since that time, we've seen a lot of other problems, such as the economy, foreign policy, and everything else. But it was border security that was first, and he continues to fail, and he's not doing anything on it.
Well, border communities certainly know what's going on, and representatives of border states who are now facing tough midterm re-elections are also starting to sound off about it because it's not good for them. But the White House talks about they've been preparing for Title 42 to end for months. They say they've been surging resources to process migrants more quickly. They say they added 600 law enforcement officers from other government agencies to help Border Patrol. That force is already 23,000 strong. So I ask you, what help can some 600 odd officers give when CBP is already struggling with these numbers before the crossings double?
Jackie, I'm there. I'm on the front line. I see this every single day. My agents deal with it every day. I can personally tell you that 600 additional law enforcement from other agencies that don't know what our operations are, that's going to have to be brought up to speed. It's going to be a very slow process. And then even that 600 agents is next to nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, especially when you consider that we're expecting the numbers to almost double from what they are today. 600 isn't going to do anything. What it is going to do is it's just going to continue to encourage more people to cross the border illegally because all they're talking about is processing people through the system quicker. That's just one of those magnets that draws people. As long as we continue to release people into the United States, reward them for violating our laws, they're going to continue to come.
Real quick, because we're out of time, have you seen any of those 600 agents? Are they there yet?
We have not. They're not supposed to be there until after Title 42 goes away.
Wow. All right. Well then, Brandon Judd, thank you so much for that. We'll be watching. Tough situation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jackie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.